Hey guys, welcome back to another vlog. We have had so many questions and comments and everybody wanting updates on the water troughs that I put out. That's what we're going to do on today's vlog. So I'm going to update you guys on the water troughs and how they're doing, and I'm going to tell you why I put them where I did. Alright, so I'm walking down here to the water trough out here in the candy shop plot. Beautiful food plot. You guys saw the whole story on this. I got the redneck big country blind right back behind me. It's probably about 45 yards from where I am standing actually right now, and that's kind of another reason I kind of put this water trough here. I put it right on the inside of the wood line here, trying to make it where deer coming up would feel comfortable in hitting this all day long. Nice thing about it is we've got all these trees that we can put our spy points on and capture photos and video footage of deer coming in and using this. And since we can't have minerals or any bait anymore, to have kind of a limited resource that's concentrated like this in one area, hopefully it's going to pull a deer in and we can get some really good trail camera inventory pictures from right here. This water tank here is a 100-gallon water tank. We came in, buried it. I buried it all the way down to ground level just so it's easy for deer to come up and get a drink out of, and it can self-fill. So we got this gradient back here that all comes down and funnels down right into this point, and this happened with one rain. It was easy to fill up with one rain, capturing all this water on this hillside. Got a log in here, as you can tell. That's going to help any critters that fall in there be able to climb and make their way out. I actually put a notch on it so it'll actually hold on to the edge of the tank there. As the water rises or lowers, it can also fluctuate with that, but it's actually waterlogged, so no pun intended. But it's set down there on the bottom right now and looking good. So really excited about this. Came in with just some ryegrass and then actually threw a mixture on top of it just to hold the soil together, but it's enough too that the deer are going to come in here and nip. So it does look really good, and I'm really excited about this. I have not put a camera up over this yet to see if the deer have been coming in and using it. The reason I put it all the way back out here in the candy shop plot, because I've got about 100 acres here, and the way my property lays, it's very long and more narrow. It's not a square section of 100 acres. So from one point to the other, it's almost or right in and around a mile stretch. So I had to come in. I wanted these water sources that were going to hold water year round. And if they didn't fill up, then I could come back in here with a water tank and a truck and fill these up very easily. So I put one all the way back here on the very north end of my property to make sure there's a water source here. And we'll head up to another one in just a minute. But we do have springs in some of these draws that are back down through here. And they do run for the majority of the year, but the springs don't really puddle up when you're getting into the dry summer months, and sometimes they completely dry up until we get wetter weather. So I want to make sure that this limited resource is no longer a limited resource here on the property. It looks great. Love the placement, and I can guarantee you this year, while somebody's sitting in that redneck big country, we're going to see activity of deer coming in here, getting a drink out of this. But love the way this has looked. The ryegrass grew in great. The mix that I threw in on top of it has grown in great. Food plot's starting to look green. And so now we're going to head to the biggest water tank that we put in on the hunting grounds. This one, the placement from the sky, kind of says it all why I have it where I do. As you can see, we got this big food plot all the way around us. We've kind of got this pinch point intersection area. Used to be a big dry pond that was in here. It's just never going to be able to hold water. It's where we burnt brush here for the last few years. Got the main road that heads back to the candy shop. Got an old logging road that comes out from this bottom here. Got a nice pinch point with these trees through here that the deer have always just seemed to funnel by. They seem to just funnel through this point. Right back here on that Spy Point Solar is where we have been capturing the proof buck and some of the biggest bucks on our property over the past few seasons. They all walk right by here. Well, with this natural big slope coming right down to this area, it just kind of made sense to go ahead and put the biggest tank here. This is back on my property. It's more centralized on my property, period, which makes sense to put the biggest tank. But here it is, the big 8-foot by like 2.5 foot deep or something like that, in and around there. Once again, we actually buried it out kind of on the hillside of this old pond and sloped the dirt up to one side. When it was full, I wanted the deer to be able to come up and put their heads down and be able to drink out of it very easily. But if you come down to this side, the reason I dug it in on the hillside is once it does get lower, because we haven't had rain in like 2 weeks pretty much. You can see it's dropped a good few inches just by evaporation. I wanted the deer to be able to come right up here and take a nice little drink really easily. Went ahead, it's got weeds growing up all around it, kind of camouflages it in a little bit. I don't think the deer would be bothered by it by any means. Within a few days, had deer walking past it, had turkeys actually using it within the first few days, but I haven't really had a camera up on here consistently until just a couple days ago. I just put one out. So, but kind of camouflaged it in with some sticks on this side just to break it up. Like I said, I don't think they would really care too much about it because they're going to get used to it out here. But if we have a new buck coming in the area or new deer coming in as we get later in the season and these food sources are pulling them in, it's not going to put them on alert or anything like that. So really nice. Actually, it's got a drain spout on this side, and I went ahead and connected all that where I've got a handle back behind the sticks. That way, if it gets to the point where I need to clean this out or drain it or whatever it may be, I can do that very easily, drain it out and clean it. Also, it's still really easy in this area to bring in a truck with a water tank and fill it up. So super easy. Just makes sense to have this one in this main funnel pinch point area, centralized on my property, and it's a big water tank. So excited about it. Again, put the log in this one. It's a much larger log that is waterlogged again, so I can't even teeter it right now. Cut a little catch in there so it can catch on the edge of the water tank, and it's looking great. Seeded it all the way around with rye and some winter wheat and some mix again, and it's looking great. I know the deer are going to be using it. Got one of Dad's stands actually right up here in the corner. This is one of the major scrape areas on the property. You can see back here in the back is one of the redneck buck palaces, and it should be one of those spots that just has a ton of deer activity. It always does every single year, and I can count on it to do it again this year. So looks great. Looks great from the sky, looks great from the ground. Pretty excited about this one. All right, well, I'm walking up on the final water trough here on the hunting grounds. This one is on Rebel Hill. You guys have probably seen us make this food plot and expand it over this last year. Got Dad's redneck soft-sided blind here that he's excited to get out there and hunt. And this is the most active and most used water source here on the hunting grounds, and it should be. It's been here now for over a year and a half, and the deer have become really accustomed to it. They're in here every single day drinking out of this. Now, do deer necessarily, do you have to have these water sources on your property to hold deer, or do they have to have that water source, or can you have deer on your property without putting these tanks in? Well, definitely. They're going to pick up a high percentage of their water intake from just their browse, but if you have this, they're going to use it, and the property is going to be more attractive to your deer. It's going to hopefully help build up your deer density and just have it where your property holds a lot more deer. This one has been doing awesome. I recently came back in, resituated the tank, dug it out a little bit more and deeper, and it catches a little bit of runoff here on this hillside. There's not a lot of runoff that it's catching in this one, but it seems to fill up really, really well. You can tell it's down a couple inches, and that is probably honestly due to evaporation, but deer drinking out of it as well, because they are in here all the time. Now this one, I did something a little different. I had a stump that was in this food plot that needed to go, and so instead of coming in and laying a stick down in this one, I just went ahead and cut the stump and laid the stump down in here, and it's waterlogged as well, but gives the animals something to crawl up on to be able to crawl out. So it's working awesome. The only thing that's in here that's dead is crickets, and there's like 4 crickets in here. So sorry, crickets, I'm not saving you. So the reason I put this one here, because it is the most southern part of the property. Any deer that rotate into this area have the availability for water. That's why I did with the 3 water tanks. I divided them up on my property because, like I said, it's a very long property. Got this one on the south end. This one's only a 50 gallon. And we have the 8-foot by 2.5 foot tank that's midway in the property. And on the very north side of the property, we have the 100-gallon water tank. It's just what I had on hand. We had a couple of these tanks left over from when we used to run cattle, and then the big 8-foot tank I went and recently purchased. Now hopefully you can see the reason behind where I place them on the property. You can take these into bedding areas and sanctuary areas and do the exact same thing, but since I already had an area that was cleared out, I've got the food source here. A lot of my food sources actually join up to some really thick areas that the deer like to bed in, so you kind of got everything around almost every single water source. You usually have bedding, you got food, and you got water here. So you have everything that the deer are looking for. But like I said, you can take these straight into the bedding areas or sanctuary areas, and they're going to feel really safe about going in there and drinking out of these throughout all times of the day. Now I will tell you, in this food plot, I think it's really helped increase the deer activity in this food plot, but not just in the mornings and evenings. I would literally have does coming in here and gathering around this water source all day long. It just pulls them in, especially in the heat of the day. So if you're going to be sitting in that redneck soft-sided blind, you have a good percentage of seeing deer, not just in the morning and evening, but if you really wanted to put your time in, you're going to see deer almost every hour of the day, possibly, in this food plot. All right, well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick little update on the water troughs on the property. I'm sure if you're going to subscribe and watch every single week, you're going to see a lot of deer hunts with deer activity around almost every single one of these. So I'm excited to show you guys that, and just how every single management thing that we did on the property this year plays in to our hunting this season. So make sure you guys subscribe. This weekend's opening weekend here in Missouri. We've got guys already out hunting, so semi-live hunts are just around the corner, literally. So make sure you guys subscribe, give a big thumbs up, and comment down below. I want to see what you guys think about these and see if any of you guys have implemented anything like this on your own hunting ground. So until next time, have a better than average day.